And so with us blind to the heart of God, the hearts of each other, even our own heart, we are truly left in darkness. And if then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Now, the Matthew 6 passage I read a moment ago is in fact one of many examples in the Bible I see connecting the eyes and what you could define really as the core of a person, usually the heart. Here in this passage, Jesus uses the phrase, if your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light. But I think we can assume within reason he's using body metaphorically. I've never seen a light, bright human. It'd be kind of cool. No, it's the heart. It's the very essence of who you are, of what you desire. And 2 weeks ago, Jonathan Wilmore preached a fabulous sermon explaining just the centrality of the heart and the need for that compassion. I trust you don't need me to remind you of that. But something that we don't think of very often, at least, is this connection between the eyes and the heart. A connection that the biblical authors make rather frequently. You can bust out that inherent knowledge of synonymous parallelism to pull the significance out of this. Psalm 19:8. The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes. Proverbs 21:4. Haughty eyes and a proud heart, the lamp of the wicked are sin. Lamentations 5:17. Because of this, our hearts are faint. Because of these things, our eyes grow dim. Isaiah 6:9-10. Oh, if I had the time to unpack this. He said, go and tell this people, be ever hearing but never understanding. Be ever seeing but never perceiving. Make the heart of this people calloused. Make their ears dull and close their eyes. Otherwise they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn and be healed. It goes right on into the New Testament. Ephesians 1:18. I pray also that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened. 2 Corinthians 3:15. Even to this day, when Moses is read, a veil covers their hearts. Now tell me, why would a veil over a heart matter? Unless it needed to see. And let's not forget the passage we started with. Matthew 6:22-23. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? We were meant to see. But once upon a time, in a garden called Eden, 2 sets of eyes were opened for the very first time. And the very first thing they saw was their own fallen selves. We've had no problem keeping them closed ever since. And with the closed eyes, with the bad eyes, in comes this darkness, this fog so thick we forget where it even comes from, that it wasn't always there. John Eldridge, a favorite author of mine, writes in a book of his entitled Epic. I highly recommend it. He writes on this issue of where this comes from. I dare say we've heard a bit about original sin, but not nearly enough about original glory, which comes before sin and is deeper to our nature. We were crowned with glory and honor. Why does a woman long to be beautiful? Why does a man hope to be found brave? Because we remember, if only faintly, that we were once more than we are now. And those are the kind of visions of glory, of our past, of what we were meant to be, that get us asking questions. And we find ourselves asking some pretty intense ones. How can I stand here with you and not be moved by you? That's a question of the heart and of the eyes. How can I perceive who you are? How can I be in your presence and take that in and not let it affect me? Have you ever tried to answer it? It's deceptively easy. Just close your eyes. Eldridge speaks a word of that existence too in another book. He says it very tongue-in-cheek. You are a shadow of the person you were meant to be. You have nothing close to the life you were meant to have, and you have no real chance of becoming that person or finding that life. However, you are forgiven. For the rest of your days, you will fail in your attempts to become what God wants you to be. You should seek forgiveness and try again. Eventually, shame and disappointment will cloud your understanding of yourself and your God. When this ongoing hell on earth is over, you will die. You will be taken for your God, for a full account of how you didn't measure up. But you will be forgiven. After all, after that, you'll be asked to take your place in the choir of heaven. This is what we mean by salvation. Do you really want to live that life, let alone try and persuade anyone else to? Good luck. That is a hopeless existence. And we fall back on it more often than we probably would like to. It does make sense, doesn't it? It's a pretty solemn, almost scientific view of religion and forgiveness and life. There's little room for abundant life or desires, but it does a pretty good job of just presenting a normal, ordinary protocol for grace. Now look at the world around you and tell me for 1 second that it is normal or ordinary. It is neither. It is fantasy, fairy tale through and through. Peacocks. Elephants. Caterpillars? Really? Clouds. What? Volcanoes. When did we lose our sense of wonder? If we look at all of life, it really does resemble a fairy tale. Think of all the greatest stories ever told. Every fantastic book you've ever read, every thrilling movie you've ever seen. They all echo a sort of truth about the story into which you were born, about the epic into which you've been cast. And the only problem then is figuring out our place in it all. Life kind of feels like a book. We've stepped onto page 138. Have no clue what's happening, who the main characters are, what's going to come. I'll tell you what, the villain of the story would like it to stay that way, because he knows that the life of adventure requires open eyes and a restored heart. You know, one of the most surprising aspects of our naivete toward this fantasy world is really our disregard for its villain. Every great story you've ever read has a bad guy. Some dark force out bent on destroying all that is good and right. Well, our story has the incarnate of all the worst. He is Darth Vader, Lord Sauron, the White Witch, Jafar, Lex Luthor, Megatron, the Joker, and Lord Voldemort, all wrapped into one very evil creature. I mean, a plot whose premise is, I can't hurt God, so I'm going to get to him by maiming his sons and daughters. That's a pretty bad guy. I know Satan isn't exactly in vogue, per se, in today's church, but I assure you I'm not bringing him up to leave us running paranoid of the traps the evil one sets for us. The last thing I want is a campus living fearfully of the dark forces. I just want to point out the source. Because if not, it is inevitable that you will blame yourself for the darkness, and you will think that you are the creator of it. That's just not true. Now, neither do I want to pull the responsibility entirely off our shoulders. We are victims, but still responsible in the sense that we have given way to the seduction. But doesn't that paint such a different picture than what we're used to believing? That we are some sort of wretched, sad little creatures who God took pity upon in our just pathetic state. No, we are sons and daughters, heirs redeemed. Now, don't misunderstand me. We are nothing without Christ. I'll be the last person to say anything about that. However, when you invited Christ into your life, did he raise the building and start from scratch? I mean, if he did, and he certainly have the right to, we'd all be little Christ clones walking around. No hint of individuality. He doesn't do that. He holds on to our diverse personalities, our talents, even a lot of our quirks. It's almost as if we were created as someone worth being. Now there's a truth.